Baba Yaga is a teenage girl and she lives in New Orleans. And by the end of this video, I'm going to prove it to you. Breaking news coming out of New Orleans. Cops, girl, Shanks stabs a boy with a pencil. That's right, with a pencil. Coming from WWL News, New Orleans police says a girl hit by a basketball in a Treme gymnasium retaliated by sending a boy to the ER. The children were playing in a school gym when the suspect was struck with the ball, according to an initial police report. The suspect assumed that the victim threw the ball, approached him, and stabbed him with a pencil. The report only describes the suspect and victim as a juvenile female and a juvenile male. The victim was transported to a local hospital for treatment. The suspect was detained and arrested on the scene. It happened in the 1400 block of St. Philip Street around 3:30 p.m. The Homer Plessy School for 5th through 8th grade is at 1423 St. Philip. There was no word on the victim's condition. All we know is that Baba Yaga showed her face today and she shanked a boy with a pencil. You know Vigo from John Wick. He told his son, "Didn't you hear anything I said?" I once seen him unalive 3 men with a pencil. Baba Yaga. It's not John Wick. It's a teenage girl in New Orleans, a savage, who was accidentally hit with a basketball and decided to retaliate. And she took out her pencil that was supposed to be used for taking the SAT test. You know, coloring those little dots in one by one so she can pass the test and prove to the state that the Louisiana scores are higher than they should be, or not as high as they should be, depending on how the LEAP test comes out, right? Because we all know that the LEAP test is just a scam and a scheme to get more money from the state, I think. I don't know. But she had her pencil, and she wasn't using her pencil to fill in her name, because most people and most kids and most teenagers now, they can't even write their names with a pencil or an ink pen. They don't even know what it is, because everything they do is type. Tip, 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 tip. It ain't even on a laptop. It's on their phones. They use their thumbs. There's contests who can type the quickest. So why did the little girl have the pencil? Why did the teenage girl in New Orleans have the pencil? Why did the little boy have the basketball? There's something else we should be asking about. I worked enough international Russian vessels to be allowed, in my opinion, to reenact, you know what I mean? The dialect, or reenact how they sound, even though I may be off. But this little girl shanked a boy in the gymnasium. And so I was thinking, you know, why would a little girl be carrying a pencil? Maybe she really did just have her book bag with her, and she was, you know, sitting on the sideline doing some work. And she assumed that the little boy hit her intentionally with the basketball. But as you know, in New Orleans, you ever went out in New Orleans to get a po' boy? Man, when you walk and pull up at the po' boy place and it's in New Orleans, or the gas station, and you want to jump out and go get you a cold drink or something, you look at the savage teenager standing in front of the store and you're like, yeah, I just ain't going to get that cold drink today. I ain't going to get that shrimp po' boy. You know, that oyster po' boy can wait. You know what I mean? When you go to Man Choose, it's a chicken spot. You got to put on your gangster face, because somebody's going to try to hustle you and sell you bootleg CDs in 2025, 2026. They're going to try to sell you some old bootleg CDs they couldn't get rid of in 95. You know what I mean? Or some printed T-shirts. You know, Hot Boys, Lil Wayne's latest tour. You know, but they ain't going to have no pencil. No little girl's going to have a pencil. So nowadays, pencils are Shanks. As you know, when I was in prison, I used to keep a pencil on me because it was one way that when they shook us down, they couldn't accuse me of having a shank. Everybody was sharpening shanks. I kept sharp pencils. I didn't tell nobody this, but I knew that you can use a pencil and jerk it in somebody's eye and they would blast out with the red stuff. And it would be bad, you know? So, you know, I'm sitting here looking, man, and I'm talking crazy, but there is a boy who's in the hospital tonight because he got shanked by a girl he might have had a crush on because he accidentally hit her with a basketball. When we were growing up, when a little girl got hit by a basketball or something, they just took it as the boy's annoying and he probably likes me. Nowadays, they get offended by everything. A basketball, if you shooting hoops and the basketball rolling too quick to a group of females, and you a young man, you might as well just head on home. It ain't worth the hassle for you to get stabbed by a man with a pencil. A man-woman, or woman-man, the woman king, or whatever. Man, this stuff is crazy, I know. Welcome to the Pen and the Shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube, where we talk about stories that ain't nobody else covering. There ain't even much to cover about this story. I read you the entire article coming from WWL because it involved juveniles. You know what I mean? One juvenile's in the hospital and the other one's a savage, and hopefully she's sitting in juvenile detention. They're going to let her out again. She's going to grow up to be a savage. She's going to marry somebody and probably destroy the man's life because she's a savage and she can't be controlled because she can't be controlled now because she's jugging people with a pencil. I got stabbed as a kid with a pencil. I know what it's like to be shanked with a pencil. I got shanked in my back with a pencil. So I know the feeling. Man, like and subscribe. Let's get it. John Wick.